My parents were obvious about preferring my sister to me. They never let me go on excursions, never paid for any school events, delayed my tuition every time, and let me take public transport to school. However, my sister's case was the exact opposite. Whatever she needed was provided for her. My parents would boast about her everywhere they went while I was forgotten. I was older than my sister with 2 years, but my parents made sure the school put us in the same class. Hi, my name's Misun. In a few weeks, I'll be celebrating my 35th birthday. I live in my own apartment and have 2 companies of my own. I have no family except my husband and children, as I was disowned and kicked out by my very own parents years ago. Growing up, I wasn't much of a genius academically. However, I did my best and always emerged in the top 5. My parents didn't seem satisfied by that. Instead, they were only interested in my younger sister, Sujin, who never failed to top her class. We both used to be in the top 5, but from the moment we got into senior high school, she began to top the class. I wouldn't say that was the only reason they preferred her, but that was the main one. My parents were obvious about preferring my sister to me. They never let me go on excursions, never paid for any school events, delayed my tuition every time, and let me take public transport to school. However, my sister's case was the exact opposite. Whatever she needed was provided for her. My parents would boast about her everywhere they went while I was forgotten. I was older than my sister with 2 years, but my parents made sure the school put us in the same class. During our high school graduation, I was made to sit away from them. When I was acknowledged as the 5th best student, my parents didn't cheer. They ignored me and faced my sister instead, getting her ready for her award. As expected, she was the overall best. My parents cheered the most. They nearly followed her to receive the award. I was all alone, feeling bad and blaming myself for not being good enough. After the ceremony, I approached my family. My presence was unnoticed until I touched my mom. On our way home, I was made to listen to them praising my sister nonstop until we got home. We got into college together, and it was even worse there. I had a hard time trying to take in everything, but my genius sister seemed to be having it easy. As always, she topped the class. However, I was unable to be among the top 5 as I used to be. College wasn't so easy. After the results of our first exams were released, my parents flared up on seeing I was among the top 10.
You idiot! We barely managed you being in the top 5, and you had the guts to go even lower? What kind of a daughter are you? How could you do this to us, huh? Your sister topped her class again. Do you have no atom of shame in you?
This is the reason we love her more. She's better than you could ever be.
While they were yelling, my sister walked in.
You gotta study well, son. You're so terrible. I can't cope with the fact that you're my sister.
She's nothing but an unserious fellow. You shouldn't be speaking to her.
I just thought she needed to be told the truth. Son, don't you think you should drop out? Our parents barely have enough money for me. You should drop out so they can focus on me.
Yes, your sister's right. You should drop out and get a job or something. I don't think you're meant for education.
Consider that option. You don't have to worry about getting a job later in the future. Your sister's going to grow up and own her own hospital. You could work for her later on.
I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I'm going to work harder and emerge with a better result.
You know that's impossible, me son.
Yes, son. You don't have to try. You can't get better results.
I wouldn't know unless I try. Excuse me. I walked away from their presence and headed to my room, where I buried my face in my pillow and cried. The next exams, I was in the top 5 again. I returned home filled with excitement, but as usual, my parents ruined it.
Your sister was the overall best again. Do you think we would be happy seeing you come 3rd?
Get lost, loser. If only you could come right behind me. I know it's impossible for you to go past me, but at least quit being a loser and try being right behind me.
But I'm trying. I'm doing all my possible best to satisfy you all. This is unfair.
Unfair? You ungrateful wench. We let you stay at our house, put clothes on you, and even feed you. But what do you bring to us? Disappointment.
Ignore her, sweetheart. She can't help but try to pour her anger on someone.
If you say one more word, you'll get it from me. You good for nothing.
What did I ever do to y'all? You shouldn't have had me if all you planned to do was make me feel miserable every day of my life.
We do regret having you.
we would have been fine with our beautiful daughter.
You heard that, loser.
Why? Because she's brilliant and I'm average. Huh? I'm your daughter too. Love me too. I'm doing everything I can to impress you. I was in heavy tears, but they didn't seem to have even the slightest amount of pity for me.
Well, if you're being entitled to our love just because we're your parents, then I disown you.
What?
You heard him right, stupid. From this moment, you cease to be our daughter. Take your things and leave our house.
But I have nowhere to go. Please don't do this to me.
You could try sleeping in the streets. Make friends with your soon-to-be fellow homeless people.
I could hear the mockery in her so-called advice. I was sad. I didn't think my parents would ever disown me over my results. I went on my knees and begged them because I had nowhere to live except their house. Please don't kick me out. I could stay in your house as a stranger, if that's what you want. I could get a part-time job too. Just don't kick me out. I beg you.
Daddy, I'm getting irritated by her, please. Should I throw her bags out myself?
Oh, sweetheart, how can I let an intelligent young lady like you touch a loser's bag? I'll do it myself.
My father dashed into my room, took my things, and threw them out carelessly.
I never want to see you again, loser. Leave my house.
I tried to beg my mom, but she pushed me away roughly. Without a choice, I took my things and walked away, dejected. I was left alone on the streets, hungry and in tears. I'd also only finished my first year. I worried about where to get the money to further my education. I got a job at a multi-purpose factory 2 weeks later, but I lived on the streets for 2 whole months before I was able to get myself a small apartment. Although it was quite uncomfortable, I endured it. Life at the factory was insanely stressful, but the pay covered up for the stress. The next month, I already had my tuition fee. I spoke to the manager about working part-time.
This is going to cut a quarter out of your salary.
I was fine with that. I agreed and continued my education while working. Life was hard for me, but I was relentless. I maintained being in the top 5, ignoring my parents' obsession of topping the class. 3 years later, I was finally done. Fortunately, a month after, I got a better job at a successful company as the assistant marketing manager. I was also given a house and a company car. Those weren't my goals, but I was overjoyed knowing that I was slowly going up the ladder. Meanwhile, my sister came out as one of the best students. My parents were disappointed, as they expected her to maintain her streak until the end. However, they didn't lash out on her. 6 months later, she got a job as an assistant nurse. My parents were enraged.
Not even a nurse, but an assistant? We expected you to open up a hospital.
A hospital? Do you think it's that easy? How am I gonna open a hospital without money, huh?
Well, you better work hard to get a promotion and open a hospital soon. We need to start getting our money back.
But Sujin wasn't doing well at the hospital. In fact, she was the worst worker. Eventually, she was fired.
What? How dare you get fired?
How dare you yell at me? Did I fire myself? Huh?
Meanwhile, I, on the other hand, was the delicate egg of the company I worked for. I made the company grow bigger by working hard on the marketing of our products. Soon, we were one of the best. My salary was increased too. I saved up enough money and invested a lot. A year later, I was ready to start my own company. I informed them about it, and they were nice enough to support me by offering to be my first partner. With my great marketing skills, I was able to grow my company rapidly. 2 years later, I opened my second company. My family, however, were having it hard. Sujin couldn't get a lasting job. She was doing everything wrongly.
You used to top your classes. What's happening to you?
Top my classes, my ass!
What?
Yes, I knew you both loved me more than me, son. I needed to find a way to maintain that. Seeing how you glorified our cousins who topped their class, I thought I could go that way. So, I stole your money every session and paid the teachers to make me top the class. Did you wonder why it didn't happen during graduation? Because they didn't want my money anymore.
What are you saying?
I'm saying you ruined my life. I didn't even want to be a doctor. It was your dream, not mine.
My parents were shocked. To make it worse, they discovered, 2 weeks later, that my sister was pregnant and had no idea who owned the child. As if that wasn't enough, she tried to abort the baby, but it was the worst decision. She'd gone to a quack. My parents took her to a hospital and she was diagnosed with kidney issues in addition to her initial problem. My parents were heartbroken. For the first treatment, they had to sell their house to pay. They both squatted with my father's unmarried sister. I suddenly got a call from them.
Me son, child, please help us. We don't have enough money for your sister's treatment and can barely even feed. Do something, please.
I could tell how desperate they were. I'm sorry, but I have no sister. I also have no parents, and I have no idea who you both are. Nor do I have any money to give to you.
Don't do this to us, me son. We know you have 2 companies that are doing well. You're rich. You should help us because we took care of you.
Like I said, I don't know who you are. If you call me again, I'll be forced to report you to the cops. I wish you nothing but sadness. With that, I ended the call. They tried as hard as they could, but they eventually lost Soo-jin. Staying too long without treatment led to her death. My father's sister, who was housing them, also kicked them out since she was planning to get married. They were left without a house, money, or child. Last time I heard about them, I learned that they'd lost their minds and were roaming on the streets. I'm married to a lovely man who's completely different from my father, and he also loves our twin girls equally. That's all that matters. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.